Hey guys, Out of Work Bum here, and it's been about a year or more since I've done a video on wine or brandy, and since the Moonshiners was on last night, I figured I would throw this out here. A friend of mine today had a Halloween party a couple weeks ago, and part of their Halloween party for the kids was to do candy apples. He bought way more apples than he needed, so he asked me today if I wanted them for the rabbits or the chickens, and so I went over and picked them up. So there was three bags. They were half peck bags, you can see it there, and they were full. They were over full, and you know, although they were soft, they weren't perfect for eating raw. I figured I would, you know, I would rather eat them than have them go to the chickens. So I started thinking about making some applesauce for the kids, and then while I was cutting it up, I said, geez, you know what, I have enough here for some wine. So I figured I would do a batch of wine, and I could always make this into brandy afterwards, depending on how it comes out. I've got my applesauce cooking with the rest of them. So with the three half pecks of apples in the wine, I've used 1 cinnamon stick, a little over 8 pounds of apples, and a little over 8 pounds of sugar, just plain white sugar. I did use a cup of brown sugar just to try to see if it would make any difference in the taste. And I used 6 teaspoons of yeast. Now I broke it into 2 batches, and I activated both batches. You always want to activate your yeast before you start something like this. If you put dead yeast in here, aside from making it taste bad, it just won't ferment. So I did that. My yeast activated up. I put it in there, gave it a shake, topped it off with warm water. You don't want it more than, you want the water to be around 100 degrees when you first started off to get that yeast going. Other than that, that's it. You just put your airlock on, and if you know me from my last videos, I have upgraded. I used to use a condom on the top of the jugs, and people were kind of surprised at that, to say the least, and somebody saw the video and actually mailed me a bunch of airlocks. So I have some airlocks now, and the other thing different that I did this time was I used an apple peeler corer, one of those hand crank things, and if you can see, I still have some peel in there, and what it did was it just gave thin wafers it cut the apple into thin wafers, like a spiral, and so I just broke that up a little bit and put it in the bucket. So again, 5-gallon bucket of, 5-gallon empty bucket of water, and 8 pounds of apples, 8 pounds of sugar, 6 teaspoons of activated yeast with warm water. You want to melt the sugar down before you put it in and get it all around 110 degrees or so. You don't want to kill the yeast by burning it, but if you use warm water, it will get the yeast going a little bit faster. So for the next couple of days, I will come out every day and give this a shake, stir it all up, and turn it upside down, come up. A lot of times what will happen is the apple will end up coming up. It'll rise up into the neck of the bottle and start jamming up your airlock and stuff. So it's not a big deal if that happens. It just gets messy. It's all sticky and everything. So you don't want to do that. If that happens, just give it a shake, and then try to let some of the water out if you can, without losing too much of the yeast in the apple. The other thing is that if you'll see here, all the apples are obviously floating. As the yeast works on it and gets the sugars going and the alcohol starting off in here, the apples will settle down to the bottom. I would say about 90-95% of the apples will end up at the bottom, especially if you shake it every day. So that when you're siphoning it off to rack it'll be fine. You won't get anything in there. So basically that's it. That's apple wine. About 2 weeks it should be done fermenting. If you wanted to, you could rack it off, if it wasn't high enough alcohol content for you, this will probably end up being about 12% maybe a little more because I used more sugar and apple this time, so maybe between 12 and 15% alcohol. And if you were going to turn this into apple brandy, the next step would be to distill this, and there's plenty of videos on on YouTube for making little distillers and stuff, and you know, you can do it like that. So other than that, the only other way is to make it a little bit more strong. If you were looking for that, if you're trying to get it strong, you could freeze off some of the water. That works. It works okay. I don't know how much alcohol it gives you. It'll never be more than 20% unless you distill it, because the yeast will die off after 20% or somewhere around there. I forget the actual number. But so anyway, so that's apple wine in a nutshell. Real easy recipe. Now when you rack this off, you can put this into glass bottles, and or you can use old soda bottles or whatever, depending on how fast you want to drink it. I would let it sit for about 3 months anyways before you drank it if you were using it as wine. This batch, you know, the earliest I would want to drink this if it was wine would probably be, let's see, this is November 1st, December, January, I would say, you know, middle to end of February. So if you were to make this today, it would probably be good, you know, the beginning of February or later. The longer you let it sit, the better, up to a year. I just opened up some of the brandy that I had made. If you look at my other videos, I have one that I had buried some mason jars to make apple brandy, and I just opened up another gallon of that, and it's about 1.5 years old, and the taste on it got I'm going to say, you know, at least 100 times better than when I first tasted it. The alcohol is about the same, and it's not very strong, but the taste definitely got, you know, the watery taste that you sometimes get when you make your homemade stuff definitely went away by sitting. So it was actually really good. So anyway, so in a nutshell, that's apple wine and the beginning stages of apple brandy, if you were to go one step farther. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to get back to them. Other than that, enjoy your day and have fun making apple wine.